Hi everyone, today I'm talking about why I buy US stocks and not UK stocks. Even though I live in England, it's quite a common question I get asked when investing into the stock market. Why I'm from England and I always end up buying US stocks and not UK stocks, and trying to help you guys get the best returns you can. Obviously I'm based in the UK, but I always talk about US stocks on here, and when people ask me that know that I invest in the stock market, they always ask me the same question. And I'm going to go through today why I do that. Hopefully this is more to my UK viewers, but some US viewers that watch my channel, they might find this a little bit interesting as well. So we'll get stuck into it. So the first thing and the massive thing is that there's a better return in the US stock market overall compared to the UK stock market. If you go a year back, 5 years back, 10 years back, and compare the Dow's return to the FTSE's return, you'll see that the Dow has absolutely killed the FTSE 100 on return, meaning that you got a better return and you made more money. After all, if you invest in the stock market, the main reason why you invest into it is to make money. So it makes more sense to go to the place where you're going to be getting the better return, the more money made, which is the US stock market overall. And if you look at the index's return, if you invest in the Dow to the FTSE, you would have a better return if you invest into the Dow. And also, a bit down here, I'll get onto this, but there's better companies making a bigger return in the Dow compared to the FTSE overall. But that's another point we'll get down to towards the bottom in a little bit. Point two, we've got Brexit. Definitely in 2019, this is quite big. We've got Brexit happening in the UK, and kind of over the last few months, we've seen it affect companies, and going forward in the short term, we'll definitely see it affect companies. Long term, you could argue a case for and against Brexit and how it's going to affect companies, but going forward in 2019, it will be affecting companies' revenue. They don't really know what's going on, what kind of Brexit deal we're going to be having, how it's going to affect them working in the UK. So Brexit will affect a lot of companies and kind of scare investors. You know, when investors don't know what's going on or what the future has, that always makes them a little bit nervous, and you see a bit of a sell-off. So going forward, Brexit will affect companies. Like I say, long term, we'll see what happens, but that's something that will hurt your returns going forward into 2019 in UK stocks. You could argue that for US stocks, you'll have a bit of a erratic president that could affect your return in the stock market, but that's more of opinion really overall. Number three, news and YouTube. This is quite a big one that affected me really overall, and that is that when you go and try and look at US stocks, there's so much news out there. You've got news channels, you've got your CNBC, your CNN, your Bloomberg, all talk about the stock market, whereas in the UK, we don't really have any kind of stock market channels at all. So that's a little bit of a downside. US stocks also have massive websites that write a lot of articles on stocks that keep you up to date, which is really easy to keep track of what's going on with a lot of people's opinions, why the stocks has moved on that day. So the US stock has a lot more news out there going for it. Also, when you're looking into US stocks, it's very easy because you can just go on companies like Seeking Alpha, Yahoo Finance, CNN, and you can just kind of get a quick glimpse of the stock. You see the PE, you can see the EPS growth, the balance sheet easy, the revenue growth easy, and then you go, oh, this is quite an interesting stock. Now I can go into detail about it. Whereas for the UK stocks, you really have to just read a lot of the annual report just to see how the stock's going, which is a bit of a pain because that's quite a long read, and you waste a few hours and decide you're not going to invest at the company at all. So it's a lot easier to find a good US company compared to a UK company. As well, we get a lot of YouTube channels talk about US stocks, hardly any about the UK stocks. So it's a lot easier to hear people talking about your stock, opinions on it, finding out new stocks, because YouTubers or other people going, hey, have you heard about this stock? You go check it out and you invest it. So that's another thing to consider as well. My last point is there's also, like I say, better returns, more money to make because there's better companies on the US stock exchange. You see a lot of companies that aren't even based in the US that try and get on the US stock exchange because it's the best one. You've got a lot of companies that are also worldwide companies compared to UK stocks, where a lot of them are mainly based in the UK only, and that's where most of the revenue comes from. A lot of the companies on the UK stock exchange are kind of like high street stocks, which are kind of in a bit of a bad situation right now, where they're all kind of dying off. Revenue isn't growing much, so there's not that much good choice really in the UK. Whereas US stocks, you've got big massive companies that are bringing revenue in from all like continents really. You've got your Apple, Amazon, Microsoft, Netflix, Google, great companies that are growing at great revenue overall. So US stocks, you just got so much better choice. You've got companies that you're going to get more return on. So overall guys, like I say, I buy US stocks because you get the better return in the US stock market compared to the UK stock market. I have owned UK companies before. One stock that I did hold was a 3i Group, which was a decent return, but I only invested into that because I knew that it was going to grow its revenue going through that year quite well, so that's why I invested into that one. But the majority of stocks I do buy are the US stocks. I hope that helps quite a few people that are looking to get in the stock market, especially from the UK side of it. So like I say, I hope it helped. Thanks for watching. Give the video a like, subscribe. Thanks for all the support recently on the channel. It's been amazing. I've really enjoyed making all the videos at the moment because of all the support from you guys that have been watching. So keep that up and I'll see you in the next video.